Update. I take prescription medication for ADHD. Started a new job and drug test collection site released a preliminary result to employer of me failing drug test. Company rescinded job offer despite a clean result from lab. Left old job for new one and now I'm unemployed. Link to original post. Link. I am surprised how quickly this situation was resolved. I met with an attorney for a consultation Thursday. After talking and explaining my situation, she told me this strikes a nerve and hits very close to home with her because her husband and one of her kids has ADHD. I could tell how furious she was by her expressions and mannerisms. She told me that she would contact the company pro bono, but if it came to a lawsuit, she would take it on contingency as I could get punitive damages. I told her I don't want to sue anyone if I don't have to. I just want this job offer back as I have been waiting a long time for a job like this. She also explained that if her attempts at contacting the company were unsuccessful, I could file an EEOC charge and go through them before filing a lawsuit with her if needed. Ultimately, she told me this is discrimination. Due to an unrelated incident a while back, I have an app on my phone that records all phone calls, one-party consent in my state, and saves them to my Google Drive. I played the calls with my manager to the attorney. When my manager informed me of the preliminary result, I explained to her my prescription medication and my ADHD. The attorney told me it was good that I disclosed that at the time because now the company can no longer claim they didn't know about my disability, which would be a defense to discrimination. Also, this is an office job and my meds and ADHD would not cause any issues in performing my duties. I was not terminated at this time, just suspended pending the lab test. The call after my lab test came back. My manager said the offer was rescinded and my employment was being terminated due to the preliminary result conflicting with the lab result, but I would be paid for my 1 day of work. As far as not being honest in my interview regarding the drug test, my attorney feels that is just a smokescreen. Any reasonable person would think that question is being asked specifically to illegal substances, so essentially we don't waste each other's time if I knew I would fail. I had no obligation to disclose any legally prescribed medications. I asked about the collection site. Apparently the collection site is not directly affiliated with the lab, they just have a contract with the lab to analyze the samples they collect. Disclosing the preliminary result, and she said she wasn't sure if they did anything illegal because I signed a release before providing my urine sample and this is a separate issue, but she thinks an argument can be made for negligence. She would check up on it because she is not 100% familiar with collection sites releasing preliminary results in lieu of a lab test. She said that if it was a positive test for a substance that had no legitimate medical purpose, then maybe they would be okay releasing that, but even still, dipping some strips in urine is not a certified or accredited test. She said ultimately the point of having a lab test and MRO is to remove all potential variables of a false positive, and the point of the MRO is to have someone that is knowledgeable with what can cause a positive result and that can analyze if that positive result is valid or not, to prevent sending false positive results back. If it comes down to a lawsuit, she would name the collection company as part of it, but ultimately this is about the company discriminating. Anyway, my attorney called me the next day saying she had a conference call with the head of HR and their legal department. When she initially talked to the head of HR, he had been on vacation when all this went down and he had no knowledge of my situation and would look into it and get back to her. He called her back with legal on the line and they decided to re-offer me my job and pay me for all the time missed. My attorney goes on to say they want to have a conference call with me present and if I could come into her office that afternoon. I agreed. When I was at her office for the conference call, those present on the call were the head of HR, legal department, my manager, my attorney, and myself. Essentially this call was an apology to me. The head of HR profusely apologized for this. He went on to tell me that this decision was made by someone new in HR and despite the head being on vacation, he always makes himself available to his employees and he should have been consulted at the very least. If he had known about this, he would have gone with the lab result and we would have never been in this situation. He went on to say that he talked with the representative that decided to rescind my offer, and although he was apologetic, the head of HR felt that the representative did not fully understand the legal position he put the company in and he is no longer employed with the company. They want me to come back in Monday, tomorrow, to continue my employment. He stated that my manager spoke very highly of my qualifications and interview and they want nothing more than a person with my background on their team. He even said he would treat me and my manager to lunch Monday. He told me that they will give me a private office to accommodate my ADHD. I told them that wasn't necessary as I am perfectly capable of performing my job in a cubicle, like everyone else, but he insisted. So now I have my job back, getting back pay, have a private office, and being treated to lunch by the head of our. I owe much thanks to this community for all the advice and support you have given me. I wish I could personally shake hands with all of you. I was so scared before reading your comments. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Edit. I'm going to disclose my medication. I take Vyvanse. A lot of people assume I'm taking Adderall. I used to take Adderall, but my doctor suggested I try Vyvanse when it came out. Although similar and made by the same company, Vyvanse is a much better medication for me. The release is more controlled, it's not as intense as Adderall, my appetite is not affected, I sleep much better with it, and it doesn't give me the crash that Adderall does when wearing off.